Hi, and this is Ashley of Somatics-Embodied from She Thrives Future Alive podcast. And today I have a dear friend, Jackie Horridge, founder and coach of Shift Your Pain. Jackie is an advanced pain reprocessing therapy practitioner and a chronic pain recovery coach. Jackie is a former scientist who has a PhD in molecular biology and used to work as a biotech consultant. She is certified as a national board certified health and wellness coach and certified pain management coach. Welcome, Jackie. I'm so excited to learn more about what you do and how you help heal people's pain, chronic pain. It's huge. So, welcome. So, my first question to you is please explain briefly what pain reprocessing therapy is and maybe who does this serve?
Yeah, sure. So pain reprocessing therapy is this fairly new method that's come out of cutting edge neuroscience, and it's a method that I teach to my clients to teach them how to fully recover from chronic pain and, in fact, a lot of other chronic symptoms. It works by retraining the brain or changing the nervous system. It's very effective, works really fast. Sometimes can be very fast.
And what actually brought you from the biotech world, which is very exciting, as a PhD person into the world of pain management? I mean, this is pain reprocessing therapy, is a nuance as well, but you bring all of those skills. But what was your story? What brought you to here?
Yeah. Well, I came here because of my own long journey with chronic pain. I had chronic pain for about 40 years of my life, most of my life, and started when I was a kid with my headaches. I had almost daily headaches for about 10 years, and then migraines, and then back pain. Kind of as I went through my life, I realized that some pains kind of stuck around for years and then disappeared. Some didn't go away at all. I collected various diagnoses and like most people, I tried everything. I went down the medical route. I had back pain and neck pain were probably the two longest, the ones that bothered me the most. So I tried everything except surgery for those. Pills, injections, physical therapy. I went down the alternative route. I tried a lot of different things, chiropractor, PT, and some things helped temporarily, or I found things that were able to turn the pain down. But
Mhm.
nothing worked permanently. I was still in pain most of the time, most days. Um, the other thing is that um, you know, I've always had this dream of trying to do something to help other people with chronic pain. I wasn't sure what to start with, and so this dream kind of lingered for over a decade. But while I was working in biotech, I decided to learn how to become a chronic pain coach. And I did the two kind of alongside each other for a little while. I got trained as a chronic pain coach about 10 years ago and started coaching. In fact, started teaching as well. I teach pain science. I still teach pain neuroscience to student coaches at a coaching school. And in this program, and also with my students, what I noticed is that people's pain often went down and people learned how to live better lives. All the things we taught were evidence-based. My pain also went down. Interestingly, just learning pain science can sometimes take pain down a notch. I now know why. At the time I
Yeah.
didn't. My pain went down a little too. But really, what the big shift for me happened a few years ago. I was actually in bed with long COVID. I had extreme fatigue, so I could, get up, have breakfast, but go back to bed. I was exhausted all the time and in bed all the time. And I read this book by Alan Gordon. It's called The Way Out, and that's a book about pain reprocessing therapy or PRT. And this had the missing pieces. This book I realized was very different because what it contained that I didn't have before was the instructions, like the practical tools of what you have to do. I had already learned that chronic pain changes the brain, and I'd learned about neuroplasticity and how it is possible for the brain to change, but I didn't know I was missing the how to, right?
Yep.
They'd also just published, the book referenced this, and this clinical trial results had just been published. And I'm a science nerd. I love a good nerdy biology paper. And this paper was a really good study. It had great control groups. They'd partnered with a famous neuroscientist. They included a placebo control. And this was a trial of PRT, pain reprocessing therapy for low back pain. And the results were so impressive. When I read that study, what it showed was, so of the PRT group, the study group, 98% of people reduced their back pain.
98%?
Yes, one person stayed the same. Everybody else reduced their back pain. And 2/3 got to no pain or almost no pain, basically cured. And this was in 1 month. They did,
1 month.
yes, I'd never seen anything like it. Yeah,
Everybody doing this.
they did
What?
2 sessions a week. So a session is 1 hour, usually about an hour of talking to somebody, learning the PRT tools. So 2 sessions a week for 4 weeks. And the results were maintained, largely maintained a year later. They also did scans of the brain and showed that the brain changed. You could see visible changes in the brain structure.
It is incredible. So you've kind of explained somewhat of what pain reprocessing therapy is, but how is this different from the programs that are already offered for chronic pain?
Yeah, there are some programs for chronic pain, and kind of the gold standard for offering any kind of psychological intervention or really addressing the mind-body connection in most of these programs is a combination of CBT, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, and sometimes some mindfulness.
Right.
And these programs, they do help, but the effectiveness is small. So a small amount of people see improvements or can fully recover. Whereas PRT, they're focused mostly on pain management, the kind of things that I was doing before. The difference with PRT is the goal is actually to teach people how to cure themselves. And the success rates are just so much higher. Um,
Right.
yeah, and I didn't, after I read that book, and I signed up for the training program right away. I
Yeah.
then tried it on myself, and they told me on the program that PRT is now also being used for lots of other chronic symptoms, including fatigue, which I'm like, I have fatigue.
Right.
So,
Do.
so I using the book, I tried it on myself, and within a week, I was 100% better. I was back out of bed and back to my normal life. Then during the training program, I was able to get rid of my low back pain. That was within 2 months. And then after that, I got rid of my chronic neck pain, my foot pain I'd had for years, my gluten intolerance, my tendency towards sinus infections. Um, the, you know, it was amazing. My life completely changed. I no longer have chronic pain.
Because pain just wears you down. It just wears down the nerves and your ability to thrive or to have a positive outlook. So it is crucial to get your pain, chronic pain, resolved, right? It's
Yeah,
a
it's exhausting, and people have to give up so much. I think I was a very avid outdoor sports person, and I had to give a lot of that up during that time. But now I'm back to rock climbing, back to doing whatever I want to do, really. Um, Go ahead.
yeah. So what types of symptoms, conditions can you help this process with the reprocessing therapy?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned some of the ones, that I
Yeah.
did for myself. Chronic pain is what most people hear about first. It's the easiest to understand. So within that, chronic pain I define as any pain you've had for 6 months. If it's beyond 6 months, it's very likely that the tissues have actually healed. And what
Mhm.
might be going on is that your brain or your nervous system might be stuck in high gear, where it's creating more pain. It's either creating pain where you don't need any, or it's creating more than you should have for that injury.
It's
So,
got a lot. Yeah.
so back pain, some things that I've helped people with: back pain, neck pain, migraines, headaches, fibromyalgia, and then interestingly, lots of other symptoms too. Oh yeah, repetitive strain injuries, shoulder problems. There's a lot of diagnoses that fall in here.
Hmm.
Also, a lot of people have often been told that their back pain is like I was, right? My neck pain was due to a bulging disc, that I had all this degeneration in my low back and sciatica. Um, but really, when they've done, for example, for back pain, they've done these studies with back pain where if you take MRI scans of people who have back pain and people who don't, they're identical. Statistically, there is no difference. So there are just as many people walking around with disc bulges, scoliosis, arthritis, all the other things you're told that
Yeah.
don't have pain. And many of those in the Boulder back pain study, most of the people there and most of the people that I see, they come to me with these diagnoses. And
Hmm.
yet most of them get better. My success rates are about 70 to 80% of my clients make either a full recovery or a very significant recovery.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Really, really, really. So, I mean, you've kind of mentioned who it's a good fit for. Can you mention what the training program is? And you tell me more about what that actually involves and how clients can actually change their pain?
Yeah, sure. So the when I say programs, I do programs currently. I work mostly by Zoom. I have one-on-one programs, so coaching programs usually once a week, but really fitting around your schedule. The group programs will be getting started very soon. Group programs. You can do pain reprocessing therapy online or in person. I'm also doing a retreat that I'll tell you a bit more about later. But really, the program format is it's based on the premise that all pain, 100% of the time, is created by the brain. At its most fundamental, what pain is just a certain pattern of nerves. This is a pattern of nerves firing in the brain. And that's true if you put your hand on a hot stove or if you've had back pain for 20 years.
Mm.
If you put your hand on a hot stove, what the new science shows us is what your hand tells your brain is, hey, it's hot over here. It doesn't tell you I'm in pain or I have damage. It tells you that it's too hot. And then your eyes will say, we're in the kitchen. Your brain will compare the memories. What do I know about a hot stove? And based on this complicated subconscious algorithm, your brain will decide whether or not to make pain, how much pain it's going to make, and where you're going to feel it. You with me?
Yes,
Okay.
huge, huge.
The missing piece is that your brain also takes in all this other information. It takes your memories, your beliefs, what your doctor has told you. If you believe, like I did, that my pain was because I had this disc bulge, and I saw it on the MRI scans, but it didn't need to hurt for as long as it did. That that sometimes the brain or the nervous system can become kind of overprotective or a little trigger happy.
Yeah.
It's a bit like if you imagine having a house alarm, you've got an intruder alarm set up and you want the alarm to go off if somebody actually breaks into your house. But sometimes those alarm systems can get set to extra sensitive so that a leaf blowing by or perhaps a squirrel is now setting off the alarm. So,
Wow.
for example, with back pain, your brain can learn, oh, sitting is a bad idea. I'm going to give you pain when you sit. Or bending is a bad idea. I'm going to give you pain when you bend. So that's kind of the premise of the science, right?
Right.
What we know about neuroplasticity is that nerves that fire frequently become much more easily fired and things become linked to them. So, for example, sitting became linked to back pain for me. Then what happens is actually pain. We have a normal, evolutionary sensible response to pain, which is some version of fear, right? Pain
Yeah.
is supposed to tell us, hey, there's a problem. And we respond with usually some thoughts or emotions. This is what I call the default responses. Over time, these also become linked to the pain and very worn in. And we can get stuck in what's called the pain fear cycle. So something triggers pain, and then pain triggers some version of fear. This could be worry, frustration, anger, anxiety, irritability, could be depression, could be a whole problem solving. What am I going to do? I got to fix it. Um, and what happens is your brain can kind of get stuck in this loop where pain causes fear, and then the fear actually triggers the pain. And we go round and round and round, making this pathway stronger and stronger. So in pain reprocessing therapy, what we work on is the response. We can't just stop the pain right off the bat, but we can change the response. We can dial down the fear. And I teach people really specific things to do. When you notice your pain and it's low to medium, do this. When it's high, do this. When you notice these thoughts, do this. And it's all mental exercises,
Right.
which, repetition is what's needed. And
So rewiring all of
rewiring.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Changing the response so that we can get to a place where sometimes we go, pain, I'm not that bothered. I'm not afraid of it because I know it's my brain,
Right.
right? I don't believe that my back is really that big of a problem or that sitting is going to cause me such a problem. And then through repetition, usually what happens is the symptoms start to go down. Uh, and then people really get excited and really double down on their homework, right? And then eventually it stops firing altogether.
I mean, it really is the brain. People don't realize how much the brain and the thought process impact your physical body so much. And just by changing your thought process and your outlook and paying attention to your body, right, can completely shift everything internally for you to be able to manage yourself better, right? And control
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
things.
and I'm sure this is work that, as a hypnotherapist, you must know a lot of this work that really um it's something that's very underestimated is how much our thoughts and our emotions impact the rest of our physiology. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody knows that like thinking about a stressful situation can raise your
yeah,
heart rate, tense your muscles, but actually your subconscious brain is in charge of your entire physiology. That's
yeah,
its main job. And it's very influenced by our belief systems, by our
yeah,
thoughts. And that's good news, actually, because when you know how to influence it positively, all kinds of incredible healing is possible.
yeah. And transformations, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
real recovery from all of these things that don't serve us very well, right? Keeps us in a
Yeah.
negative, painful state. So, can you share maybe a client story as a result of doing one of your programs? Something that comes to mind?
Sure. Yeah, this is sort of one of my there's a client that comes to mind. This is probably my fastest success story. Client CJ, I've got a testimonial of hers on my website. And when I met her, she had had pain all over her body. It's kind of a mystery pain, various diagnoses along the way for 39 years, average of 5 out of 10 every day. And we actually only did 3 sessions. We did 3 sessions of pain reprocessing therapy, and her pain was gone. Um, which, you know,
You,
I will say that and she's had since then an occasional flare up, but now
mhm,
she has the tools and she knows what to do about it. She
yeah,
knows how to deal with it because that's part of our program too, is how do you respond if you do have a flare up? Now I'll say that, recovery in 3 sessions, it's not the average, but
mhm,
it's not as unusual as you think. The time it takes to recovery is based on when does your subconscious brain really feel like it's safe enough to let go? And for
mhm.
some people, like this client, her brain was able to just sort of rearrange itself. When I explained the work to her, it made so much sense. And so her fear disappeared. Um,
Yeah.
there are,
It's
Go
it
ahead.
is it is that sort of realization. Oh, now I understand it's my brain that's creating somewhat of this discomfort in my body, in my belief system. And when
Yeah.
your brain can understand the impacts in the body, it can let those things go. Or, like you're doing, helping people have tools to manage, to really help like lower the pain threshold and understand that you have the power, you are in control, right? And you're
Yeah.
letting the pain manage you. And what you're doing is, like you said, reprocessing that thought pattern. No, actually, you can change the thoughts, which then change the feelings, would then change the behaviors, right? That's my philosophy. Thoughts, behaviors, beliefs, and then
Yeah.
the habits that are formed around that, right?
Yeah. And what we teach people, it's these repetitive thoughts that really build those grooves in your brain. We know this. This is how habits are formed. If you think about learning to drive, for example, when you first learned to drive, it seemed really difficult and there were a lot of steps. But now you can get in a car and drive without even thinking about it. It's become automatic.
Right,
So what happens with chronic pain is that some of those pathways of something triggers pain and then what we do about it have become automatic. And
right.
so what I teach people is to literally build a new pathway out of that loop. That's what they saw on the brain scans in the Boulder back pain study. Literally change, and then those old pathways can fade away. Um,
So just before we finish up, I know that you have this amazing retreat coming up, so this might be a good time to mention it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, well, I have a very exciting collaboration with two other practitioners. And there's Amy Pittner, she's a rehabilitation movement specialist,
Mhm.
and Verena Ruckert, who is a very experienced yoga teacher. And both of them also incorporate into their movement a lot of nervous system regulation techniques. They all three of us lived with chronic pain, and Verena was actually a client of both mine and Amy's. And what we're doing is something a little different, which is we're going to do an immersive introduction to PRT retreat on a beach in the Caribbean in Mexico. And so it's the dates. We have two sets of dates coming up. The one coming up really soon is April 16th to 20th to 2026. And then the next one after that will be November the 5th to the 9th. And so this is a retreat where people will be in this glorious location right on the water. And each day we'll have both PRT. I'll be teaching the pain reprocessing therapy, including the practical approaches of what to do, and help making sure that people come away with a plan of how to continue that work. And then every day, Verena and Amy will be doing some nervous system regulation and some really gentle movement to incorporate these different elements. And I think it's going to be really exciting, really
Power.
transformational.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah, having tools to be independent, it really creates, yeah, a sense of autonomy. I've got this, I've got control, I can manage myself rather than feeling powerless by having to be beholden to doctors that don't really listen and, well, I should take that back. Don't really think of outside of the physical box, right? Which is what we're doing here, working with the brain. So,
Yeah, working with the mind-body connection, and there's exciting research coming up to support this work further too. So
well done. So, how do clients find you and about your programs so that they can get started?
yeah, well, everything is on my website. My website is shiftyourpain.com. There's a link on there to the retreat. If you're ready to get started and jump in the Caribbean, then sign up for the retreat. But I would really encourage anybody, if you're just thinking about it, if you're curious, if you're not sure if this is a good fit for you, go to my website. I offer a free 30-minute consultation to anyone. I'm really passionate about getting people connected with this work, and I know a lot of people have doubts, and
Mhm.
but if you're curious, doubts are normal. But if you're curious, book an appointment with me, and let's see how I can help you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time today. And we will definitely have you back on the show. And just to kind of acknowledge, I am English. And can you tell your story? Because it seems like we have all these accents. Like, does she only have people on the show who have accents?
Well, thank you, Ashley. Thanks for hosting this. And yes, well, I left England partly because of the weather, and actually in part because my neck and shoulder pain was always worse when it was cold and dark and rainy. And so I moved to California, initially to San Diego for the sunshine. I then moved up to the Bay Area. I'm located in Oakland, California now. But actually, I see clients worldwide. That's the beauty
That's
of Zoom, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we look forward to hearing more about it, and I wish you all the best, and I'll see you soon. And
Yeah.
thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thanks so much, Ashley. Thank you.
You're
Bye.
very welcome.